early afternoon on September 10, 2025, and the quad at Utah Valley University looks like any other busy campus day. Open sky, a portable stage, students drifting in and out with phones up and questions ready. The format is casual, a public Q&A, outdoors, no metal detectors, no bag checks, a layout many schools use to keep events accessible. That openness is part of the story and part of the scrutiny that followed. At the center of it all is Charlie Kirk, conservative commentator, founder of Turning Point USA, and a fixture of college tour debates designed to test ideas in front of live audiences. Whether you agreed with him or not, Kirk had a gift for drawing a crowd in a headline. UVU wasn't an outlier on his schedule. It was the kind of venue where he'd spar with critics, take unscripted questions, and lean into the heat of the moment. The crowd that day is sizable, and the vibe is what you'd expect from an outdoor campus forum. Students ringed around the stage, cameras rolling, security present but unobtrusive. In retrospect, experts point to the sightlines long, clean views from surrounding buildings as a vulnerability. Kirk begins doing what he always did on these tours, trading arguments, needling opponents, energizing supporters. For years, he'd built a brand around campus stops, podcasts, and youth organizing. Part advocacy, part showmanship. Love him or loathe him, he was undeniably a national figure by the time he stepped up to the mic in Orem, Utah. And then, within minutes after noon, the day ruptures. A single shot. Confusion rolls through the crowd as people dive for cover and scan the rooftops. First responders surge in. The scene flips from debate to triage in seconds. That precise moment, how a normal campus event snaps into crisis, will shape the questions we explore in this film. What security assumptions failed? What did witnesses see? What timeline can we verify? If you were on campus or live nearby, what changes would make you feel safe without turning universities into fortresses? Tell us below. Your perspective matters as this conversation widens. In the next section, we'll slow the tape down and walk minutes as the area is secured. UVU police begin clearing adjacent buildings and pushing students back behind temporary lines. Command draws a perimeter while dispatch starts taking in eyewitness descriptions. Within that first hour, officials treat an elevated firing position as a working theory. Later forensic work will matter here, but on day one the priority is life-saving care, scene control, and a rapid sweep of vantage points with long sightlines onto the stage. The school's open layout, great for engagement, suddenly looks like a map of vulnerabilities. Question for you: if you've attended outdoor campus events, what basic checks would make you feel safer without killing the atmosphere? Drop your take below. Through the afternoon, investigators move from immediate response to evidence recovery. They photograph scuff marks, collect shell casings, and cordon off roof access points. In the hours and days that follow, officials say they recover a rifle wrapped in a towel and a screwdriver from a rooftop area. Lab testing later links DNA on those items to the 22-year-old suspect now in custody. For this film's timeline, the key point is what was observable day one: a likely elevated shot, a single round, and a methodical expansion of the search grid outward from the stage. If you spotted something the news missed: angles, echoes, where people ran first, tell us in the comments. Crowd memory helps reconstruct timelines. By evening, the university remains locked down in zones while officers finish their building-to-building checks. Media briefings stress two things. First, that this was a public campus event with unusually long sightlines. Second, that officials won't speculate about motive. Coverage also notes the pressure on UVU's security model. What was considered adequate for open-air forums is now under a microscope. Our approach here is simple: stick to what's been confirmed, flag what's still unknown, and keep the timeline clean for the next chapter. We'll pick up from the first bolo alerts and follow how the manhunt widened beyond campus and into the surrounding city. Within minutes of the shot, campus police hand control to a multi-agency command. Radios crackle with bolo alerts, and officers begin clearing buildings while detectives work a second track, securing vantage points and canvassing for surveillance footage. By that night and into the next morning, investigators release images of a person of interest and ask the public to help identify him, a familiar step in fast-moving cases. Where time matters more than polish. The search quickly widens beyond campus. Tips start to land, some useful. Many not, and investigators chase leads across Orem and neighboring communities. Early on, officials say they've recovered the rifle believed to have been used, a discovery that helps narrow both ballistics and timeline work. The decision to publicize suspect images proves pivotal. A relative recognizes the man pictured and contacts authorities, tightening the dragnet. Roughly 33 hours after the killing, police announce a suspect is in custody. Utah's governor later credits the suspect's family for helping bring him in, a reminder that many manhunts break because someone close decides to call. As the custody announcement lands, the case shifts from sprint to marathon. Forensics teams work through what they've pulled from potential firing sites and adjacent roofs. Federal officials later say DNA evidence ties the 22-year-old suspect, Tyler Robinson, to key items recovered near the shooting position, including a towel wrapped around a rifle and a screwdriver found at height. Investigators also point to digital breadcrumbs, including a now-destroyed note and messages indicating intent. None of this answers the biggest question why, but it does lock the timeline and strengthens probable cause ahead of formal charges. There's another layer, according to reporting. The suspect appeared to confess in a Discord chat before he was taken into custody. "It was me." One message read, as described by sources who saw screenshots. Authorities caution that online statements still have to be authenticated and contextualized in court, but it's part of the evidentiary picture building in parallel with lab work. Through all of this, officials emphasize two things in briefings: the suspect is not cooperating, and motive remains unconfirmed. That leaves space for rumor, exactly what this film avoids. We'll keep anchoring to what's verified and flagging what's not. Question for you: when police release suspect photos during an active manhunt, does it help public safety or risk misidentifications? Tell us in the comments. We'll feature thoughtful takes in a follow-up. Next up, evidence and what's confirmed, what the lab says, what witnesses saw, and what still doesn't line up. Investigators start with what they can touch and measure. First responders lock down the scene, mark the stage area, and extend a cordon to nearby vantage points. They document a single firing sequence, then work outward, angle of impact notes, trajectory sketches, and high-resolution photos of any scuffs, footprints, or disturbed gravel on elevated surfaces. Access doors and ladders get dusted. Railings and utility housings are swabbed. Technicians bag potential evidence, spent components, tools, fabric wraps, and log each item into the chain of custody. Back at the lab, analysts test for latent prints and biological traces, compare caliber and rifling to the recovered components, and cross-check timestamps from 911 calls, body cam video, and campus radios to tighten the window of events. Parallel to the lab work, detectives re-interview key witnesses, not for drama, but for detail: where people first looked, which direction they heard the crack travel, and how the crowd moved in those first few seconds. From there, the picture widens into digital forensics. Investigators pull building access logs, maintenance tickets, and recent keycard activity around rooftops and stairwells. They check nearby cameras, campus traffic, storefronts for approach and exit routes. License plate readers help map possible movements before and after the shot. Devices connected near the scene are examined under warrant for proximity data, search histories, and messages that might show planning or intent. Any fragments are treated carefully until authenticated. As this verified spine takes shape, physical traces tied to a likely firing position, a narrowed timeline, and a single person in custody. Officials still warn against filling gaps with rumor. The how is increasingly clear, but why remains unconfirmed. That's where responsible storytelling matters. We'll keep separating ***, what's proven *** from *** what's pending ***, flag updates as they arrive, and correct the record if new facts change the map. Quick question for you: which, whenever a public figure is killed, the loudest question is why, and it's also the one least suited to instant answers. Investigators don't declare motive on a hunch. They build it from verified pieces: communications before and after the act, search histories, written notes, route planning, purchases, prior threats, and patterns of behavior. Even when a suspect leaves a message, context matters. Was it spur of the moment, performative, or part of a longer plan? Until those threads are tested against real evidence and sworn testimony, motive is only a working theory, not a conclusion. That's why we're resisting the urge to fill gaps with neat stories that feel true, but can't be proven. As you watch, help us hold the line. What should count as a credible indicator of motive? Private messages, public posts, something else? Tell us in the comments. If you want more deep dive reporting that separates fact from noise, tap subscribe and keep notifications on. Your support lets us prioritize accuracy over speed. There's another reality we have to name. In the first days after a case like this, rumors multiply. Misidentified photos, edited screenshots, and out-of-context demiss circulate faster than corrections. We won't amplify any claim we can't authenticate. And we won't host harassment or doxing in our comment section. Full stop. Our coverage will stick to a clear spine, the timeline we can verify, the evidence that's been processed, and the status of the case inside the legal system. When officials update the record, we'll update ours, and if a new fact changes the map, we'll say so plainly. Question for you. How do we have a real conversation about political violence without rewarding the very attention some offenders seek? Share your thoughts below. Be specific, be respectful. If you were on campus or live nearby and have first-hand, non-graphic details, you can reach us through the tip link in the description. For now, the honest answer is that the how is clearer than the why. We'll keep reporting until the evidence speaks for itself. In the hours after the shooting, the conversation widened far beyond one campus. Students and faculty wrestled with grief and shock, then quickly with policy. What should change when the thing that makes a forum vibrant, openness, is the very thing that makes it vulnerable? On one side, you hear calls for tighter controls, controlled sightlines, rooftop sweeps, mandatory bag checks, hard entry points, and trained event marshals. On the other, a warning: if every open-air debate gets wrapped in barricades and scanners, we risk eroding the spirit that makes university life worth defending. That tension isn't theoretical. It shows up in real schedules, real budgets, and whether student groups feel safe hosting speakers at all. If you're a student, organizer, or faculty member, what's the single most practical change your campus could implement tomorrow that would make you feel safer without killing the vibe? Tell us in the comments. We'll highlight thoughtful solutions in the next episode. And if you were there or on a similar campus, your perspective matters. Keep it specific, respectful, and non-graphic so the space stays constructive. Zooming out, the national reaction lands in familiar territory: rising political temperature, the speed of rumor online, and the responsibility of platforms and creators, us included, to avoid turning violence into spectacle. There's a difference between attention and amplification. Our promise in this series is simple: keep a clean timeline, stick to verified facts, and call out what we don't know as clearly as what we do. That's how we avoid fueling the very incentives that sometimes sit behind these acts. For viewers, there's a role to report threats instead of retweeting them, resist hot takes that rive before evidence, and support events that model tough but civil argument. If you believe universities should be places where people can clash over ideas and go home safe, say so below. What norms should be non-negotiable at political forums? Finally, if this kind of careful, source-driven work matters to you, tap subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss updates, and share this episode with someone who caught in the end. What we know is straightforward, and what we don't know still matters. A single shot shattered a public forum and left a community grieving. The timeline is clearer. The motive is not. Our promise is to keep following the evidence, update the record when facts change, and never trade accuracy for speed. If you were on campus or live nearby and have first-hand, non-graphic information, use the tip link in the description. Please avoid speculation and respect the people directly affected. Universities should be places where arguments get loud and people still go home safe. That's the standard we'll keep pushing for. We'll post major developments in the pinned comment and update the description with any new verified details. Until then, thank you for watching and for helping keep this conversation serious, careful, and human. For you go. Add your voice below. What one practical change would make open-air campus events safer, without turning them into fortresses? Tell us in the comments. Specific, respectful, no graphic details. If you value deep dive reporting that separates fact from rumor, subscribe, hit the bell, and share this film with someone who cares about keeping public spaces open and secure. It really helps.